You need me? Good morning. Welcome, beautiful people. Happy Tuesday. If it's around 9 o'clock, you know it's time for Lovebabz, Lovetalk. I wasn't here yesterday, but I know Harry plays something because people were calling me, where are you? When I'm not on air, people think I'm somewhere, I don't know, missing in action. I was supposed to speak at Co-op High School yesterday, but the teacher got really, really sick. So she texted me at the last minute saying, don't come. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to come. We'll reschedule. But it was too late to get in here. So I was like, okay, I had a morning to myself. So in studio with me today, I have the lovely Nadine Krause from the Holberton School, which I'm enamored of. How are you?
I am great. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So I met you. You had brought some folks over to Mike Harris's podcast.
That's right.
And I met you there, and we chatted. And I was so excited. And then I came to visit you at the Holberton School, at the district.
That's right.
Took the tour, was wholly impressed. Actually, my mind was blown.
Yeah, it usually is. I think that the district is a really neat asset to New Haven in general. It's a really great place. It's an ecosystem where a lot of different things are happening. And I'm glad that you had a chance to stop by and see it all live.
Oh, I feel like I want to bring people over. That's what I want to do. Like
Anytime.
I want to run tours. I was like, this is the future. I felt like I was standing in the future.
Based on your enthusiasm, I think we should hire you as a tour guide and
I
just
know.
have you bring in droves of people.
I should. I'm telling you, just like, early, in the mornings and then in the afternoon. I felt like I was standing in the future there. So the district is this brainchild of whose?
David Salinas and a few other folks. He's the co-founder and CEO. But essentially, the district was the state's bus depot or transportation hub.
I remember that, where buses went to die, or
get fixed, and sometimes maybe they left. But it was empty for nearly, I want to say, like 15 or 17 years.
Yes, a long time.
Exactly. And they basically got the contract, or they got the building, acquired the building from the state, and raised some funds to help clean up the property because there were some brownfields, and it took a few years, but they had a vision really of building an ecosystem, as I mentioned, for technology, for innovation, for people, businesses, ideas to collide, and to really provide a lot of different resources and experiences to help invest in the economic development of New Haven and also the region at large.
And they chose New Haven. Why? Like, what was the thing? Now, you weren't at the very beginning of this process.
I came later, and I'm specifically in charge of the Holberton School. But I obviously know more about the district itself because we are right within the district. I came later. I started last year in September when we announced that the Holberton School was coming to New Haven. I mean, David is from Queens originally. He's been living in the New Haven area for quite some time. And when he started his business a few years ago, he chose New Haven. I think it's just he loves the city. He's excited about being here, but he also really views it as a really strategic location, right? Because people always talk about how Hartford's the middle between Boston and New York, but when you think about just Connecticut as a state, New Haven really is the middle between Stanford and Hartford, and it's on the 95 corridor, and there's a lot that's happening in New Haven right now, especially in the startup space. And because the district primarily exists to give resources and space to businesses that are in early stage, it just made sense to come here.
And New Haven seems to be very good at incubating intellectual capital and orgs and businesses, and not necessarily good at retaining them, which is another animal, which is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But the fact that people want to start up here, I think is pretty incredible. And I think if there's some way to build on that ability, because I think New Haven has all the right things that people would like as a startup.
There's a lot happening here. I mean, I moved myself from Hartford and living in the greater Hartford area for quite some time to New Haven because I just feel like there's a lot happening here. Like there's a lot of different people coming through the city, because we have Yale here, we have other colleges and universities. So you just get a lot of different vibes going on, and it's a very diverse community, and that's what I really appreciate about it. And I think the vision,
and it doesn't shut down at 10 o'clock.
It does not shut down
at 5 o'clock.
It's 5 o'clock, and coffee shops are open on weekends. But I think part of the vision behind district as like a physical space was to yes, provide the resources and make it easier for businesses to get started, but to also make it easier for businesses to stay. And that's actually where Holberton School also comes into the picture. And part of what you and I had already talked about is the fact that tech talent is one of the toughest things to find really anywhere, but it's also one of the things that businesses, both small and large, really need right now in order to be able to thrive, because technology is taking over the world.
And now I've been hearing tech jobs for 20 years, but now we are smack up against some sort of deficit in terms of that kind of talent.
Yeah, I can put some numbers to it. So when I started last fall, we were at about 550,000 open tech jobs nationwide.
Whoa.
And that number was projected to grow to anywhere from 1.4 to 1.6 million. There's a quote in the New York Times that said 1.4 million, by I think 2026. And in this year plus that I've been here, the number of open tech jobs has grown to 950,000.
Wow.
So it's
and these
happening.
Don't require college education. Some of them do, but a lot of these require something like a Holberton School to help fill the need.
Yeah, it's really about the hands-on experience, right? So programming, coding, computer science, it's a very hands-on field. There's a lot to learn, and there's a lot of different experience that you need to gain to be able to be a good technologist in that sense. And so having a hands-on type of education is really helpful.
Wow. So tell me about what the Holberton School does. What is its concept? What is it designed to do?
Yeah, it started about 4.5 years ago, I think, at this point, in Silicon Valley. And part of what they were seeing out there, so the co-founders were seeing out there, was just this shortage of talent, right, that we just talked about. But they were also seeing a severe lack of diversity in the people that they were meeting as they were trying to grow their businesses. And, most of the people that they interviewed did not look like you and I. And most of them were very pale. And that's a problem when we think about building new technologies, because in a lot of ways, technology is changing how we eat, how we sleep, how we live, how we communicate, how we do business, how we commute, how we understand our world. And so it's important that we have people from different backgrounds thinking about how we're using technology. So in a lot of ways, Holberton was designed to teach the deep technical skills, which in some cases, our traditional higher education system has not caught up quickly enough with the advancements in the field. So really teach the deep technical skills in a way that's relevant for today, given today's technologies, and to also find a way to really bring people from different backgrounds into this field, including people who might not have considered software engineering, programming, coding as a potential career field in the past.
Wow. So do you think the Holberton School, I don't know if this is in their purview or not, but do they get to push back on the education system in this country and say, listen, this is how you get these kids prepped for this kind of work? If you could get them prepped, we could get them in, we could push them out. Is that kind of the conversation somewhere?
I think it's beyond that, because so the average age of our students is actually 29, right?
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. We have students ages, I want to say, internationally, because we are international at this point. We have campuses all around the world and are still growing. But I think ages range from 18 to 60 right now.
Okay.
So we have people from really different backgrounds, as I mentioned, and people across the age spectrum who are either using this in place of college, right, in the case of people who are younger and coming right out of high school. And we have people who are using this to change careers or to re-enter the workforce. And then we have people who are kind of using this to accelerate their careers, because they're realizing that, whatever field they maybe are already in would benefit from them having a deeper understanding of software engineering, programming, coding, to really take their skills and their career to the next level. And so to answer your question, I think whether Holberton School existed or not, and this type of hands-on education model existed or not, and we can talk about the tuition as well, how that's different, it's important that we think about evolving education, right? I think we can all agree that people have a certain right to education, at least to a certain point. And for me, it's really challenging to think about how much money we're currently spending. Connecticut has the highest student loan debt nationwide as a state.
God.
And it's unconscionable, right? So I think it's important that we think about both how we're educating people and whether or not we're giving them the skills that are needed in today's world, and launching them, right, so that they can be successful right out of the gate. And then also how we're charging people for that education.
Wow. So you guys have a very interesting application process.
Yes, we do.
You're not asking for SATs. No. You're not asking for the ACT. You're not even asking for GPAs or any of that.
No, we need a high school diploma or transcript to confirm that somebody has at least a high school education or GED, something similar. But we don't care about the GPA. And for really all intents and purposes, our application process is blind. So you apply, we get some basic information from you so that we know your name and we can stay in touch with you. But we do not collect any other information about you. And then instead of using prior experience to evaluate whether or not you're a good fit for the program, we actually give you an aptitude test or a skills assessment. And so it teaches you the basics of coding. This is why I said, right, you don't need any prior experience. I get that question a lot. It teaches you the basics of coding. You're actually building your own website. And you go through a series of challenges before that, and we're looking for your ability to apply what you're learning and your motivation to learn this information. So essentially, we test for two things, talent and motivation. And in a lot of ways, a GPA does not necessarily reflect that, right? So if you're starting our application process and you're enjoying it, even if you've never coded before, chances are you're going to stick with it. And that's that like grit and motivation that we look for. And it's challenging, right? So a lot of people self-select out because they're just not up for that challenge. And then we can also tell based on how you're doing on this application, whether or not you would be successful in the program.
And so you get through the application process, a series of tests or aptitude tests that they give you, your problem solving. They give you real honest to God.
You're learning and you're problem solving.
Solving. And then there's no teachers.
At the school, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
which is, I find, wholly fascinating.
Yeah, that in a lot of ways is maybe the most fascinating part, because when we think about education, whether we realize it or not, like subconsciously, we automatically think of the classroom, right?
Yes.
We think about a teacher or professor at the front of the room, and we think about students who are receiving information. So our model is designed in a way that really allows students to learn in a way that translates directly to what is going to be expected of them in the workplace, right? So if we say that traditional education is a little bit more passive, well, that's not what happens in the workplace, right? To your point, you're going to be problem solving. You're paid to be a creative thinker, a creative problem solver, and
you got to work with other people.
Yeah, to work with other people. So we leverage exclusively project-based peer learning. Now, it doesn't mean that we leave you to your own devices, right? It is an on-site program in that sense. So there's an on-site requirement. It's not an online program. And that's important because of the people, right? You need to learn how to work with people. You need to learn how to collaborate, how to communicate your ideas, how to ask for help. That's actually really, really important. Most people are not taught to ask for help because we're so focused on like individual success and knowing all the answers, especially in this field where people are generally very bright. And so you learn all those things and it helps you develop what we call soft skills, right? So again, you're learning the deep technical knowledge through the project-based approach because you're learning the concepts, you're applying them continuously, everything builds on each other, so you're never losing that knowledge, right? So it's not like memorizing for a test and then you move on to the next thing. You're continuously applying it, so the learning is much deeper. And then through the peer learning, you're learning all of those soft skills and to really be part of a team.
And you've created a wonderful environment out there. Like, I think every workspace classroom ought to look like that. Like you walk in there and you could feel the creativity and the energy, and you can see people working in concert to each other. To work out things. I mean, everything from the refrigerator has coding on it to the
quotes on the wall.
The quotes on the wall, the rooms that are named for prolific people. The way that you can sit and work, whether you stand up or sit down. it's still all inclusive,
Yeah, and you called it a classroom just a couple seconds ago. It's not a classroom, right? There's meeting rooms and there's workspaces that really reflect what hopefully at least a modern workplace would look like. I know that some of the larger companies, they still have more the cubicles and offices and that kind of environment. But yeah, it's really meant to facilitate that inclusivity, that and foster the ability to work together and to collaborate with each other and to use the space in different ways. Our students move freely. The space is for them. We have one staff office and one staff meeting room, and everything else for our students.
Wow. And so it fits nicely into the district. So when it was being sort of created, because there's a co-working space.
That's right.
Which is beautiful.
Drive co-work, yep.
Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. I love that space.
It is.
I was trying to talk to other people about it. I was like, maybe I could get some other people. We could go in on one.
First Friday of the month is always free. It's a great way to experience the space.
Oh, you know what?
Meet the community there.
I think I'm going to bring some folks and we're going to come hang out on the first Friday.
Perfect.
See what it's like. But then you've got there's another business. There's a couple of businesses in there that are doing their thing.
Yeah, so if you think about the district as like a larger complex, right? You got the Drive co-working space, which in a lot of ways is like a pillar because it brings a lot of different people in, different businesses, a lot of diversity, but they also really focus, as I mentioned, on really building that community. So there's a lot of different events happening. And then Holberton School is one of the larger spaces. We've got 8,000 to 10,000 square feet. There's smaller suites for startup businesses really across the spectrum. There's technology companies. There are like health and health technology companies as well, health sciences. Trying to think what else. There's also a law firm that does free law clinics, not just for the people at district and the businesses there, also for the community. So anybody else in the community who does not know about this, there's a law drop-in hour. I think it's 12 to 1, but you can look it up online. And Murtha Kleina is actually the law firm that does it. And then FML is an accounting firm, similar model. So there's a lot of great resources like that. But then you also have a gym and you have a restaurant and a beer garden, which is a little too chilly these days for that. But also walking trail along the Mill River and an amphitheater that we're hopefully going to get to use starting next summer. That, again, is all about bringing people together, whether it's in the context of doing business or going to school or not.
And all these businesses are not necessarily connected to each other.
No.
But the energy, I'm telling you, when you walk in that place, the energy is such that you start to feel inspired and creative. Like
Absolutely.
You just feel like, ooh, things are happening here and I'm here and I want to be happening. Whatever I'm doing, I want it to be happening too.
I'm telling you, we should hire you as a tour guide. Yeah, I agree with you, Babz. I agree with you.
No, I really do mean that. I really do.
Yeah.
And I go to a lot of places, but the energy, and I've been talking about this school since I left you because I just feel like the energy is such that it really is the future, that this is how places are going to start setting up workspaces and businesses and startups are going to start working together in that way. I think it's very organic and I think it's very human.
That's a really great point. I was working in the corporate world. I worked for the federal government for a while, worked for in the financial services and insurance industry for a while. And one of the reasons I left is because the work that I do primarily focuses on human potential. Right now, it's, I said to somebody the other day, I might as well be teaching finger painting. It doesn't really matter, right? We do software engineering, but I get to see these individuals grow. And I do agree that the district itself is a really great space. As I mentioned, a great community. And one of the core values that the district has is to celebrate everybody's success.
Mm-hmm.
So we really do try to lift each other and to also but Connecticut sometimes is not great at this, like talking about our own success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to really share each other's successes and support each other in that way, and you feel it.
Yes. So tell me about the tuition structure. Well,
yes.
How does that work?
Yeah.
How do we pay for this education?
It's another thing that I'm personally very excited about. And when we say, we got to push on education, I think this is one thing that we got to rethink. And this is one option, right? There might be others, but the way that it works is it's deferred tuition. There's no upfront cost.
Mm-hmm.
There's also no interest that's charged to you while you're attending school. Essentially, what you do is you complete the program once you are hired and start working, and you earn a minimum of $40,000,
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, the average salary, I just saw new figures coming out for this year for from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average salary for a software engineer entry level is $65,000 in Connecticut.
Whoa!
I know, right?
I am in the wrong. I'm not making 65 doing this.
I say that every time. I'm like, I am in the wrong job. So you make at least $40,000. You start paying us a portion of that income, and it's 17%.
Okay.
For 3.5 years, and that's it. So you're not leaving the program with a one-size-fits-all tuition bill that then would, I don't know, force you to take the highest paying job just to be able to pay that off. And so often people leave with 6-figure debt.
Yes.
Just for 4 years.
And it takes years to get out of that.
That's right. That's right.
Years.
Yeah. And I think, this gives people, because it's a percentage and not a set amount, it gives people the flexibility to, maybe pursue a job that they're really passionate about. Maybe go into a nonprofit, because guess what? You're using technology here, right? Mm-hmm. Nonprofits all over the board, including, government offices are looking for technology. It's not going to pay as much, right? So you have the option to do what you want, or even start your own thing because of that structure.
Wow. So you have schools all over the place, but this particular school is not a for-profit.
That's right. We are a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm. But the other schools are for-profit.
So in San Francisco, it is a for-profit model, but they also have a foundation that's non-for-profit.
Okay.
I believe the school that we launched in Tulsa, or that we're going to be launching in January, is nonprofit, and they have the support of a lot of foundations to also provide a monthly living stipend, which is something that we are working towards as well in New Haven, because we understand that you still got to afford life while you're attending the program. It is full-time, so it's challenging in that sense. But we have 3, soon to be 4 campuses in Colombia. Those are all nonprofit. The country of Colombia, I should say.
I was going to say, what?
Yeah, those are all nonprofit. And then I'm not sure about Tunisia and the campus in Beirut that we just announced recently. So, I think it's important that we invest in people, and that we. So,
do you have a hit? Do you get to go to these places and help them set up?
I would love to. And right now, no. I would love to.
Do they need somebody like that?
Are you applying for the job?
I am.
No, there's a whole team out of our headquarters in San Francisco that is helping with the expansion. So they're the pros.
And so how many kids? I'm in the school mindset. How many folks are in a cohort? And what does a cohort look like? Mm-hmm. And how long does a cohort last?
Yeah, good question. So let's get some of those details out of the way. So we launched 3 cohorts per year: January, June, and September. Okay. So we don't follow a traditional college or just academic schedule. The first part of Foundations is first part of the program is called Foundations, is about 9.5 months. And then depending on how you continue the program, it could be another 6 months to a year. So you have 3 options to complete the program. You can take a 2-month break, and you can choose one of our specializations to kind of really get deeper with what you're learning. And then the other option is for you to do the career track. So we put you through a 2-month, job readiness kind of boot camp, give you all the support you need, including support from mentors, from our partners, from our hiring partners, to get you ready for your job search, to get you focused and, find that first job, whether it's an internship or full-time position. And then after 6 months, you can apply for graduation with a letter from your employer, right? So you could technically be working after Foundations within just a couple of months. You could also then do an internship and return to do a specialization if you decided you wanted to do that. So kind of 3 options to complete the program. Cohorts range in size from 18 to 50. Mm-hmm. We're still getting started. It's our first year. So we've had, on average, about 20, 24 students in our cohorts. But the sweet spot would be for us in New Haven to have 30 to 50. So if you're out there, if you're thinking about this, this is a place for you.
Yes, I think it is the place. I think people would be wholly interested in checking out this school. And people can come over there, right? They can come over there and see you or talk to you.
Yeah, they can come. You can really stop by anytime. We're on James Street across from the U-Haul building. You just go in the main entrance. You find the school in the directory. You could also go online. We have events and tours happening regularly. So our website is www.holbertonschool.com, HOLBERTON school.com. And if you find the New Haven campus, it lists all of the events. We do open houses. We just had one last week. We do virtual open houses. We have tours that are going to be listed there. We also have application nights. If you're like a little bit too timid to get started on your own, or you don't have a computer, you can come out to campus and hang out with other applicants and hang out with students and staff and start your application that way. And as I mentioned, we're going to have tours posted, but you can stop by anytime.
So what is the hopes and the dreams of this school? Because it's new. And it'll morph and change, or will it, or won't it?
I mean, right now we're focused on software engineering, and we're really focused on, and we have already seen a really diverse set of students coming through our doors. So we're really focused on making this accessible to people from all walks of life, including those that have never coded before. And our hope is to really help give people that opportunity to get into a meaningful career, into something that is really hot right now. In Connecticut alone, there's over 10,000 open jobs, right? And then to also help the region and the businesses have access to that talent so that they can continue to grow. And that's going to benefit our communities all around.
So do businesses contact you and say, hey, Nadine, we got like 10 jobs somewhere, and can you help us? Like, do you know?
Yeah.
Does it ever go down like that?
Both ways. It goes both ways. I'm very often contacted by different companies and or recruiters, who are working independently for different companies. But we also reach out to some of the employers in our state to see what's going on. Yale's actually interested in hiring our students, for example.
Because they've got a whole tech.
Oh my God, they have over 400 people, and they're really making some changes to how they're using technology on campus to support the university and all the research. So yeah, they're looking for tech talent and open to hiring people from non-traditional backgrounds who might not have a college degree. And then C-Click-Fix is another local business that is looking to hire our students, as well as many of the folks that are right in the district. So that's a really great place to be for us, because they're going to hopefully hire our students. And then other larger companies across the state, Sikorsky, Stanley Black & Decker, Travelers, Priceline, they're all interested in hiring our students.
Really? Because the tech industry touches just about every part of our life.
Yeah, it's industry agnostic, right? So it doesn't matter what you're doing as a company. Even if you're not a technology company, you're still using technology to run that business.
Wow. So how many women are in this? Have you seen good numbers of women coming through?
Our first cohort, we were actually surprised. We had 20% women, which is actually higher than what we're seeing in traditional higher education, and also a lot higher than what we're seeing in the industry. We struggled a little bit with our second cohort. We did a lot better with our third cohort. But for me personally, this is really important. Women have a different have a different experience in this world, right? And they need to be part of the technology solutions. I think there's a lot that happens in the educational process that makes it maybe more interesting for boys to learn more about technology. Partially how we're teaching it, partially sort of how some of the activities maybe do have a gender slant, but I think that it's starting to change, and I think that women are some of the best technologists out there that I've seen. So yeah, it's really important that we have more women in this field. So
is the goal to sort of make New Haven a bigger? I just read something that we are noted as big in, what is it? I just read somewhere where we're big in this technology game. I want to say STEM, but it might be something adjacent to that.
Yeah, what I have learned in the year plus that I've been with Holberton in New Haven, I've been in New Haven a little bit longer, but specifically with Holberton, is that there's a lot that's happening. There's a lot of focus right now, K through 12 and beyond, to provide STEM-based opportunities to kids, right? And also to adults, but really, to get the interest and get the exposure. A lot of people don't realize how much they're actually using technology and how important it is, because it's so seamless, which is great. That's what you want technology to be, right? You don't want it to be a pain, which sometimes it is. But yeah, so just getting into the education system, getting into after school programming, the library is doing things, LEAP locally is doing things, ECIC, the Elm City Innovation Collaborative, is investing in a lot of different things around town to help with, again, education.
And I think you need that component, right?
Yes.
You need an organization that can put some money towards some big thinking kinds of things in ways that municipalities cannot do.
Yeah, but I would definitely say that New Haven in a lot of ways is leading the charge. Last winter, we announced that New Haven is the city that codes, right, locally. So it might, to a degree, still be aspirational, but the fact that we're making that investment and that we're putting that out there is huge.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So how do you recruit, Nadine? Like, how do people find you?
They can find us online. They can find us at high school, college fairs. We have billboards throughout the state. We've done different things on radio. So hopefully people have heard TV ads, But I think for us right now, we're really focused on building partnerships with schools, including community colleges, to help people realize that this is an option.
Because that might be a
there.
Nice gateway. See how I did that? Gateway to that, because that would make sense. That would be a good marriage, I think.
I think so too. Yeah. So again, it's really just about right now really doing the outreach, connecting with the right people in the schools. We've had some really great conversations and students already in our school, from some of the tech high schools. I just got a call the other day from Eli Whitney Technical High School.
That's my alma mater.
Oh my goodness, look at you. I knew there's something special about you. So we're trying to make that human connection to make people realize that we're there, but also really help people understand what we're all about.
So what is Holberton's commitment to community? I know that's a big statement, but like how do you sort of be in community so that people sort of trust you, and how do you still do what you need to do, but how do you all think about that? Do you think about that? Do you think, well, we're here and that's enough?
It's a good question. So I want to sort of maybe back into it a little bit. So community is actually huge for us. It starts with the community within each cohort, and then the community that we have on campus, and then it expands out to the professional advisors that we have. That's about bringing community in to support our students. I think the connection for the most part is that over 54% of our students right now are from the local community, from the greater New Haven area. They're going to go back out into their community, and they're going to, in most cases, earn more than they were earning before. In most cases, they're going to be in a lot better position, financially, and it's going to help them have an impact. I think there's probably opportunity, and maybe something you and I can brainstorm to have more of a connection with our community. But we have reached out to some community-based organizations to find ways of supporting them, and to, like, we've done info sessions at the library and really did a co-promotion of both Holberton and the Ives Squared space that they have there, because we're so aligned in our mission.
Which I love that space.
I love it. It's so great. It's amazing.
I think that's what libraries ought to be doing.
I agree.
They need to be foundational in that all over the place.
Whoever had the vision for that was a genius. I agree. I think it's a different way of making things accessible to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. It's about going back into the community. It's about, working with different community organizations. We met with a council for, different groups and organizations that are all collaborating on tackling youth homelessness, right? So we want them to be aware of Holberton, and just because of our tuition model, it makes it more accessible to people. So
plus, you never know where talent is.
You don't.
I mean, you are really saying, there might be a homeless kid or a homeless person or a youth at risk that they might hear something and something goes off, and they're like, you know what? Got a hidden talent here.
Yeah, and I think, for so long now, and it's such part of our narrative, and I've talked about this before, that there's like, at least early in life, there's just one path to success, and that path must include college. I personally don't believe that's true. I think the foundation of success is believing in yourself and knowing that you have what it takes within yourself to change your circumstances and to reach for goals, right? And to really be clear on finding that path, whatever that path might be. And we're one option that helps you launch into a successful career when it comes to education. And so I would just encourage people out there. Again, we have somebody in our program who was a cosmetologist before she joined. She did hair and makeup, right? And she decided to come into this program because she was always excited about technology, and she started to lose her eyesight, and she knew that she was not going to be able to continue in her profession, and came to one of our open houses. I just still remember meeting her. She was super excited and just has never lost that enthusiasm. She had a little bit of a learning curve because, you know, she's never been in programming and computer science before, and she's obviously in some ways has additional hurdles because of the fact that she is losing her eyesight. But she figured it out. She adjusted, and you know, she's amazing. She's enjoying it so much, right? And she would have never considered that otherwise had she not followed her passion that was somewhere, you know, hidden within her. And it's also the people that are saying, or were told their whole lives, you're not going to be good at anything, right? Because maybe traditional education that's more passive, they didn't excel in.
Yeah.
I was a late bloomer. I struggled with traditional education myself. You know, I did go the traditional path, but I wish something like Holberton had been around because it's helpful for people who learn in different ways.
And I'm telling you, every time I talk to you, I think about all the people where traditional education failed them or just wasn't for them. I won't say failed. It just wasn't for them.
Yep.
And then they can, you know, and this is I just get the sense that this is the kind of thing that would excite somebody if it's in them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's in them, and then they get in this space and they're like, oh, everything opens up
because it's hands on, and you have the support of the people around you. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to say that this school, we want it to be accessible to everyone, and between the application process, the tuition model, and how we teach, it absolutely makes it accessible to a broader range of people. It's not for everyone because it is still a very challenging program. I mean, we're churning out some of the most talented software engineers, and we're seeing that in, you know, when we look at our students who have graduated out of San Francisco. We're not there yet, right, because we're new in New Haven, but they are in a lot of cases out earning their peers in similar jobs who have come from the Stanfords, the Harvards, the Yales, the MITs, this, you know, of the world. So it is a really challenging program that prepares you for a successful career.
Wow. And so the idea is that you have a bunch of these schools around the world because talent is around the world.
Yeah, the needs around the world. Yep.
You know, I mean, Tunisia, and you said Beirut, and these places had conflict. And so, but they're on the mend, and they're on the uptick. And so the thinking, I guess, is this is a good opportunity to get in. And
yeah, I mean, this is a global challenge, right? We know what the numbers look like in Connecticut. We know what they look like nationwide. I mean, there's a lot of factors that contribute to why we're here. But technology, if you think about it, I can't remember when the first iPhone came out. It was 2004, something like that. When you think about it, 16 years, we got like a little supercomputer in our hands now when we think about smartphones, right? And things have advanced so quickly, we haven't really been able to keep up with that.
Yeah.
And it's about also shooting to where the puck's going versus shooting to where the puck is, and definitely not, you know, to where the puck was. But we've got a lot of catch up to do, and that's a global challenge. You know?
Listen,
and, yeah.
My when I was married, my ex-husband went. He got his master's in business, MBA at UNH, and so part of their curriculum, they went to Nokia in Europe. And when he called me, he said, you know, they're showing us these phones with cameras in them. And he was like, I'm not certain that that's gonna catch on.
And look where we are. People are literally like becoming stars just by using their iPhones.
People can shoot whole films and documentaries on these smartphones.
Yep.
And I remember that so clear. Now this was a long time ago, but he was at the Nokia plant in Finland. I think it was Finland or wherever Nokia is. Yeah. And he was like, they showed us these prototypes for these cell phones, and they have cameras in them. And he was like, he's like, okay. And we were all like, wow.
I remember what happened to Kodak, right?
Yes.
Kodak, basically, there's a lot of, regular camera companies that maybe they did make the leap to digital photography, but they were like, it's never going to happen, right? Cell phones, cameras and cell phones never going to take off. And look at where we are right now, right? And I think it's a combination of, we still have to figure out how to leverage technology to stay ahead. We also have to figure out how to leverage technology for good. Because it's one thing to design something that's going to make somebody a lot of money, right? It's another thing to design something that's going to help us solve the problems of
That's
today.
what I like. I like technology that answers questions.
Yes.
You know, that we didn't have the answer for prior.
Yes.
And now we can answer questions. I tell you, I was thinking about this the other day as I was driving. I remember I'm old enough and young enough. Before GPS, everybody had maps. Right?
I remember those times. I'm old enough for it too.
You had to map. And then when you got your desktop, remember desktops? You know, Apple came out with IBM had a desktop, and you could print out the sequence of
steps you had to take.
Yes,
and God forbid you miss one of those.
Oh
steps.
my! And you had all this paper in your car, which I imagine is quite dangerous. But now, you know, they have cars built with GPS. You have to do is say, "This is where I want to go," and the car will just tell you, you know, take a right, take a left, go straight. There's traffic. And I thought that is good use of technology. Although, on the other hand, Nadine, that makes us very map illiterate now.
I agree. I mean, there's pros and cons.
Yes.
And I think we do need to think about the social impact of technologies.
Yes.
And I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But kind of tying it back to what you said earlier about women, there's a study that, I mean, there's many studies that have been done when we think about the divergence between girls versus boys or men, you know, versus women getting into this field. And it's somewhere around 8th grade that it actually changes. But what the Girl Scouts did recently was they looked at how girls and boys around that age are using technology and what they're building when they're building an app. And ironically enough, boys build games and things that are like competitive and whatever. Yeah. And girls are building things that are like helping people.
Yes.
And, you know, for the greater good. And I mean, women are, you know, a lot more collaborative in nature. It takes all kinds to make the world go around, but you know, it's just so fascinating to me. So yeah, I think it would be helpful to have more young women and women of all ages thinking about technology for that reason alone. Nothing against men, right? Obviously,
yes, we love men.
We love men. But I do think, again, it gets back to people. We need people just from different backgrounds who have had different experiences, who've struggled in different ways, because struggle also brings forth, you know, creativity, right? To say, oh my gosh, we want a solution. That's innovation. People innovate when they're struggling.
Do you think you have some responsibility to, I don't know if y'all build this into your curriculum or whatever, integrity of things, how to use this technology for good? Not to be preachy to people, but like
the ethics.
But yes, like some ethical use of, I mean, because I know they do this in medical schools, right? Like first do no harm and that kind of thing.
We talk about it. So our CEO, Julian Barbier out in San Francisco, is huge on this. It's something that is really important to him. And recently we had a conversation, you know, about how actually there's a huge missed opportunity right now of, or a need that we really haven't discussed much of, educating especially kids in how what they're doing online and how they're using technology might impact them down the road. You know, we talk about potential predators that are maybe online, right? Or we talk about I don't know, don't spend so much money in online games, whatever it might be, right? But we don't talk about how everything connects these days and how it can impact
and
them
how
down
they
the road.
can take care of their digital footprint.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to, is really understanding what your digital footprint is and what that means, and being educated about that and making educated decisions, because it could bite you in the behind down the road.
Because you're 15, you know, popping bottles and slapping girls on their butt, and then 21, some employer Googles you,
who knows what, right? Who knows
how
what?
Whatever the cybersecurity will be in those days to come, you know, they will be able to sort of.
And it's also about protecting yourself, because, you know, there's a lot of people who are trying to get your information and who are trying to do God knows what with it. So, you know, I think the ethics of it are really important. We through some of the fireside chats, as we call them, that we have, you know, people in the industry coming in, our mentors and professional advisors talking to students, we do come across some of those things, and we do really try to teach our students how to think about the solutions that they're building. You know, something that we do build in kind of informally, seamlessly into everything that we do.
This has been a great conversation. I enjoyed you. I wish you come back.
Here.
I want you to come back and talk more.
Maybe we can choose a different topic that is somehow related.
Like we can just break it down.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that would be a good idea. I would like that very much, Nadine. Krause from the Holberton School I'm going to come over there. And now that I know First Fridays are free over there at the co-working space, I might bring some people and come hang out. See how that goes.
We'd love to see you anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon. All right, Harry, I'm about to play us out.